can have a very strict 15 minutes.
A lot of people are asking me, hey, can we split up the deposits? Can we pay in different things?
We are live. What's happening, Facebook? It's Friday. It's Friday.
So we are live for sure.
We're live.
All right. What's up, guys? Yeah, I always wait for the notification on my computer just so I know that we are on. Anyway, how's it going, Facebook? That is Cashflow Chris. This is Cashflow Creator. We are the AZ Flip Guys. We are just two ordinary guys doing extraordinary things, talking about real estate, mindset, and everything in between. And today, man, we are so excited to be talking about property management. You know, one of the things that we hear a lot, especially from people that are doing deals that are outside of their market, outside of their areas, but shit, even locally. People are always having problems with property management. That's probably the biggest complaint that people have if they're investing in a buy and hold strategy, kind of buying it, holding it, whether it be single family, multifamily, whatever it is usually property management is normally a big pain in the ass for people.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing on why people don't even get into the business. It's the old, tenants and toilets, you know? Like it's some sort of big mystery, but shoot, we're going to get that figured out today.
Yes, and that's why we are so excited to have our girl Ashley here joining us. Ashley, before we let you talk and before we let you say anything, I want to share that I met Ashley just random, you know, through networking. As we always say, network. And speaking of fucking network, we got Sonia Ray in the house. We got Greg Cook in the house. We got Mark Holder in the house. We got Josh Castro in the house, man. We got Jordan Ago all the way from the Philippines. Oh, man, we are going international. Yes, buddy. So through networking, Chris had met a guy named Ryan who did a show with Propelio. We ended up going to Dallas because we needed to drive up to Arkansas to take a look at our apartment complex anyway. We met Ryan. We went out to eat breakfast with him, and then we were on the show with him. Then from there, we were in Phoenix when he told us, hey, man, you know, I'm going to be here for some event that you guys want to meet up. So we were like, yeah, sure, let's go meet up. We took him to Rattler's Roost. Did you guys go down the fucking slide? Because I came in late.
We didn't. Ryan is a big dude, and no way in hell was he going down that slide. Yeah, they got a big metal slide. It was. But did you go on it? No, you didn't go down.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is that it used to be a place where it used to be Rustler's Roost.
Rustler's Roost.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be where people used to go there and hide out. And when authorities were coming, they had the slide. They would take them to the back side, and then they would get on their horses and get the fuck out of there.
Wild West, baby.
So they still have that place there. Anyway, we went there, and Ryan was like, hey, would you mind if I invited a few people? And one of the people that showed up was our awesome guest, Ashley, which I don't remember much of that day other than you ate all my fucking cotton candy.
Blame it on the pregnancy. I think I was 5 months pregnant at the time, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm eating like this whole thing. And then I looked around, I was like, oh, sorry, guys.
You weren't going to tell a pregnant woman no.
Exactly. So if any of you guys are out there joining us right now, if you guys are listening to us on a podcast, make sure that you join us live every single Friday at noon Arizona time under facebook.com/AZ Flip Guys. Yeah. Not only will you be able to interact with us like we got Sonia Ray here this week. For me was water. What the fuck? Dude, learn how to fuck it. I don't even know what the fuck you're trying to say. We got David Plata in the house.
Oh, for her this week, it was the water heater. That was the issue that popped up. That was her property management issue for the week.
You see, I don't even know what the fuck we're talking. But anyway, you guys can be just like Sonia. You guys can be just like Greg talking about networking. You guys can be just like David interacting with us, asking questions. And if you guys happen to be catching this on a podcast, happen to be catching this on a replay, happen to be catching this on YouTube, make sure that if you leave your questions on the comments, we'll get back to you at some point and we'll answer them. But if you want your questions answered live, if you want to be able to interact with us, then make sure that you come join us every single Friday, facebook.com/AZ Flip Guys. And if you guys have not downloaded the episode, make sure that you download the episode and share it with your friends, because we always say we don't pitch anything, we don't sell anything, we're just finding value and adding value as much as we possibly can. So we got Sonia right here says, shoot, I learned about you guys from Ryan Harper. Yeah, you did. You know, it was all from networking. Greg Cook is sitting here saying networking. One of the things that we talk about, one of the things that I teach my students, one of the things that I try to teach my kids is that it's all about networking. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And for you guys that are part of the kingdom who went to the Kingdom Connect, you heard me say it's not who you know, but how you know them. See, I know now, I didn't really get a chance to interact with Ashley that much, but we were at the table, we talked, everybody was friendly. We asked her about the pregnancy and everything else. But here's the thing. I actually sat down and ate with her. So if there's a possibility, if there's a deal happening in Arizona that might fit my criteria, and there's another guy that she just happened to hear about on Facebook, who the fuck is she most likely to reach out to? And it's all about networking. Mm-hmm. So Ashley here, we got Ashley fans in the house.
Oh, nice.
We got Elizabeth Navarrete joining us here. And just like Sonia, Elizabeth heard about us through Ryan, through Propelio. So we got here, he says, I'm here to see the fabulous Ashley Hernandez. Woo! So proud of you, lady. Oh, my God.
Elizabeth, you're a future guest. No,
I believe so. Yeah, we do have her already. We do have her booked. I'm not 100% sure when you're booked for. If you know Elizabeth, put it on the comments. But Ashley, why don't you tell people who you are? Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? You did say that you were pregnant, so you obviously have a baby. I believe you said you were married. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, so I am married. We have 4 kiddos. My other little lady is right here. She's hanging out next to me.
Nice.
So right now I have a 2-month-old. So my kids are 10, 7, almost 3, and then a 2-month-old. So we're busy. So I was born and raised in Minnesota. I then migrated out to California. My dad's always lived out here. Yes, and we bordered Canada, so I was very close, close up there. You hear my accent when I get excited or have a little drink. But I migrated out to California when my daughter was like 1, and so I've been out here ever since. And that's where I started my property management career. And what I really wanted to do at that point was not pay rent. So at that point, that's exactly what I started property management for, is to just be able to have that freedom. So I started in affordable housing, and that's just kind of where I stuck. Obviously, affordable housing tends to be a little more stringent than conventional leasing as far as requirements to get people in, because they have to meet certain income requirements. Sometimes it's they have to have like migrant farm working experience or currently working in that field in order to qualify.
So you're in Northern California?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So you migrated to California and you're like, fuck, this shit's fucking expensive. I mean, that's what I heard. You might not have said it that way, but that's what I heard.
Yeah. That's the truth.
So you're like, hey, how can I find a way not to pay rent? And you know, it's funny that you say that, because Cashflow Chris and myself, we literally just bought an apartment complex. And by the way, if you guys are interested in partnering up with us, we still have room for maybe 100,000 or 200,000, I believe. We still have a little bit of room left for anybody who wants to partner up with us on our multifamily. But a part of the multifamily, it's 38 units on a regular unit. There's 14 RV slots in the front, in the back, but there's a manager's unit. And the manager's unit is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property that's attached to the management. So we have somebody that's going to be coming in there being full-time management, and basically we're paying her by letting her and her family stay at the property. So is that kind of what you did?
Yep, exactly. Yep, we had a 2-bedroom unit. And then obviously I got a salary on top of that, and then my utilities were free. So the major expenses as a single mother that you worry about were covered. So that was really, really nice for me at that time.
So you were, I actually, hold on real quick. I just got a message here from our VA who said that she was booked for the 29th, but look, Sonia already knew it. Look, Sonia, how the fuck do you know my schedule better than I know my fucking schedule? And that's why everybody loves you, man. When we were in Dallas, everybody had nothing but good things to say about you, Sonia. So you came in, you said, hey, I need to find a place to live. At this point, were you married already? And
No,
you,
that's that when I first got my management job is when I first met my husband.
okay.
He's younger than me, so I was like, I think he wasn't even 20, he just turned 21 at that point. So at first I was like, you can't even get me a bottle of wine, you are of no use to me. But he was persistent. So yeah, that's where our little love story started.
And guys, as a man who only dates beautiful women, I will tell you that persistence is key. Persistence is key when talking to beautiful women. Yes, you know, it helps to be tall and good looking and have money and have your shit together or whatever. But be fucking funny and be persistent, and that shit will pay off at the end. As a guy that only dates beautiful women, I'm kudos to your husband for that shit. So you met him there. At this point, you needed to find a place to live. So you started working, or you did property management for an apartment complex, or what type of unit was this that you were doing?
Yep, it was for an apartment complex at that point. It was a little 40 unit complex.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about that, because one of the things that we mentioned here is that people have a big issue with dealing with property management, specifically when it's not in their backyard. And one of the things that I really preach, that I'm very heavy, especially here with my personal multifamilies, is I particularly don't want to own anything in the Phoenix area, because then it tempts me to want to manage that property myself. And that's just not my specialty. That's not what I want to be doing. I want to create passive income. Chris here literally just bought a property over in Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got other properties for other investors. Most of these investors are going to be out of state, so they're looking at property management. They need to see. So first of all, let's just go, before we get into that, why should people get property management? I think that's a much better fucking question. Why?
Yeah, I got 87 reasons why they shouldn't do it themselves. Why should they hire somebody?
Yeah, I mean, then you don't have to deal with the headaches, the ins and outs of the daily, tenant issues, the maintenance issues. You can be hands off and collect that income. So I think that's the main reason why you should.
Scaling, right? For me, that's what it's all about. If you're worrying about these 4, properties, how are you going to go buy 4 more properties?
Yes.
You got to talk to one person who's dealing with all those.
Exactly. And I want to say hello to the people joining us at the watch party. It looks like we got our boy Corey Thompson over here. It looks like we got my good friend Angelique White joining us. And guys, if you guys are watching us in the watch party and you guys have questions or comments, make sure that you put it on there and we'll address it. It doesn't show up on the normal feed, but it shows up on the watch party feed. So if you guys have any questions for Ashley, make sure that you answer those questions. So people are very stupid. And part of the stupidity that comes with being humans is that we believe that if you want something right, you have to do it yourself, which is complete fucking horseshit. And by the way, if you're one of those people that needs to do it all yourself, you are going to cap at some level. You only have a certain amount of hours. You only have a certain amount of time. You only have a certain amount of energy. So Ashley, you are married and you have 4 kids, you said? 4 kids. So you got 4 kids. So as much as you would want to handle everything yourself, even if you're capable about it, you still have to give each one of your kids attention. You have to have your husband attention. You still have to give your household attention. I'm sure you have fucking friends that you like to hang out with. I'm sure that you have your me time or whatever stuff that you want to do. And I'm sure you got other family around that you need to also address at some point. Right. These are all things that you can't do if you're doing everything yourself. So if you are out there and you are looking for properties and you are considering yourself in the equation, so I'm going to buy a few properties and I'll just manage them myself and I'm just do this. I can guarantee you one of 2 things. Either you're going to fucking quit right away within a year or 2 because you're going to be like, fuck this shit sucks. Or you're going to figure it out, but you're going to cap out at just a handful of properties because, once again, you only have so much time in your world.
Yeah, definitely.
So we got Sonia over here talking to Elizabeth. We got Johnny Sanchez saying Sonia is good. Greg Cook is agreeing here. Follow up. Yep. And big shout out to Greg Cook. He actually just joined the Kingdom family. So man, we are glad to have you, Greg. If you haven't checked out that video, bro, check out that fucking video. I know that I could be a little arrogant prick sometimes, but that one was straight fucking fire. Straight fucking fire. And if any of you guys are part of the Kingdom Real Estate Group and you haven't watched the video that I did on mindset, make sure that you check it out. And second of all, and if you motherfuckers are in the Kingdom Real Estate, I wasn't fucking around when I told you that if I didn't get at least a number of likes, that I wasn't going to be doing this shit. So next week, I'm going to give you guys another fucking shot. And you motherfuckers better get on your shit, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the first video and then you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, now there's a $75 entrance fee just to see the video.
Exactly. We got a Daniel Taibi who says persistent is also the start of stalking. No. So here's the thing, guys. And this is, man, I wish my son, I'm going to make my son watch this shit later because he's 16. Here is how you hit on good looking women. Okay. You have to be persistent, but then you also have to be kind of aloof, kind of like, yeah, it's fine. You know, I'm not gonna hound you. I'm not gonna bug you. I'm just letting you know that I'm still interested. Oh, hey, you want to go hang out sometime? Like, it's no pressure. We don't have to do anything. Like, let's just go fucking watch a movie. Let's go get some dinner. Like, it's all right. It's all good. I'm just want to remind you that I'm still here, that I'm still interested. That is the type of persistence, right? Is that something similar to what your husband did there, Ashley?
Yes, he was very subtle.
And that works the best. Guys, I am telling you, as a guy that only dates beautiful women, that works the best. When I find myself being too aggressive, when I find myself being too that turns them off, because they're used to every other fucking douchebag being that way. If you can just be persistent, but do it in a subtle way, then before you know it, she's like, hey, you know what? This guy, he's not that bad. He's pretty good, like pretty interesting. And great thing for us guys is that, you know what, we're attractive and we're more visual. So we need a prettier person. Women don't really need a guy to be that pretty. As long as he meets other criteria, then he don't need to be that pretty. So if you're just persistent and you do it in a fun, subtle way, before you know it, man, one of these opportunities will open up for you. God damn, I should be charging for that fucking advice.
Tips.
Dating
Yeah, you
dating
get everything
tips
from the AZ Club guys, man.
Oh my God, we got a Melissa here in the Kingdom saying, hey, what's up to Chris and BP? Yeah, big shout out to you, Melissa. We appreciate you. We got Montel joining us in the house. We got Sabra. He says that video lit a fire under me. Man, dude, I got a message from somebody. I'm going to digress, but Ashley, you can join in this conversation because you're part of the Kingdom and you saw the fucking video that I was talking about.
Awesome.
I saw this lady, she posted a post and said, hey, after watching this guy BP's video, he lit a fire under my ass. And that, you know, within the last 2 weeks, my business has gone from a slump to making money. I've automated my shit. I'm hiring a VA. I'm even hiring a VA to run my retail side of my business. And I decided to mentor a new realtor person. All because she watched this video and lit a fire completely under her ass. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not saying this to pat my own back, but I was on straight fucking fire that night, man. It was just boom, 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 boom. An hour and 20 minutes of just fucking straight fire. Wow. Ashley, you saw that, right? You can attest to what I'm saying.
It was great. I was like raving about it myself, telling my husband, like, oh my gosh, this was so awesome. I love the mindset stuff. And I've followed a lot of your mindset tips and have passed them along to my husband as well. So we've both been really on that same journey. So it's been really cool.
And I did see that. And I do appreciate that you actually took the information that I give, because as a teacher, that's one of the things that irritates me the most, or irritates any teacher the most, is when you give somebody the information, even if you're not charging them, but you're just giving it from the goodness of your heart, and then people just don't do anything with it. So that was one of the awesome things to see here in the Kingdom family, that a lot of people took that information and actually did something with it, you being one of them. I know you said you watched that video multiple times. I was telling Chris, like, I've watched that shit myself like 4 times. And I'm like, damn, man, God damn, that's some good shit right there. So we got Elizabeth here chiming in. She says she is on the 29th. Thanks, Sonia. Super excited. Sonia said, I got you, girl. That's what I'm talking about. We got John Williams. We got Isaiah Lee from the Kingdom joining us. We got Giovanni over here at the watch party saying, I didn't know you were an American gigolo. Bro, when you got it like that, man, when you got it like that, you just got to know. And talking to women is no different than talking to sellers. I was talking to my son about this yesterday. He's 16. He's about to get out of high school here in a few years. He's figuring out what he wants to do. And I'm like, look, son, I don't want to tell you to do real estate. And I don't want to force you to do anything. But the one thing that I would suggest to you is that you learn how to speak in public. So do something that kind of just gets you out there to open up that avenue for you. And then the second thing is just learn how to do sales. Even if you're not in sales, just learn how to do sales. Because at any given point when you need money, you can always sell something. But then as a guy, you can always get women because you just need to sell yourself. So it's a win-win scenario, right? It's a win-win scenario.
I think that's the key, man. Getting people out of their shell. Young kids, a lot of times they're in their shell, and learning how to speak in public. That's probably the biggest one.
That's big. That's huge. That's huge. But learning how to do sales, just learning how to talk to people. And I've said this many times before, guys. My superpower. This is something that I learned from my mentor, Ed the Cuban guy. Basic human communication. Just learning how to talk to people. And honestly, that is why I find it, as a landlord, I find it beneficial to have a property manager. A lot of times property managers know how to convey your message way better than you do. Mm-hmm. You're way too emotional for this shit. You're wrapped up in this. It's either your personal money or your investor's money. You need somebody detached. And one of the things that I teach my property managers is use me as the asshole. Use me as the bad guy. Yeah. So if Ashley here was my property manager and I was the owner of that 47 unit that she first went to go live in, I would say, hey, Ashley, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go collect rent. Now, I need you to tell these people, Brian, that owner, like he's coming down on me and he's really like, he's on my ass. And I trust you and I believe you. And I know that you make payments, but I just need to see proof. Like, I believe you, but Brian, that guy's such a fucking asshole. Like, he doesn't believe you. So he needs to see proof. I believe you. It's just a way to diffuse the situation. So being a property manager, you said you did property management for 7 years?
Yeah, yep. This is my 7th year coming. Well, this year is my 7th year. Nice.
So we've talked about why we believe it's important for somebody to do property management. As I said, you guys are going to be limiting yourself. If you're doing this, if you're doing it yourself, you're going to be limiting yourself. Second of all, I just talked about, which is you're going to get very emotionally involved in it. You don't know. There's somebody that I know here locally who owns a few properties that she rents out herself and she manages herself. Her husband's like, man, she hasn't raised rents in like 10 years. And she just doesn't know how to have that conversation. She feels sorry for the people, even though, because she's known them for so long. That's another way that a property manager can come in and assist you. So Ashley, you had been doing property management for a while. I'm sure that you noticed a few things. I'm sure that you noticed a few things regarding the owner side of it, which is what we're talking about now. And then in a little bit, we're going to be talking about the tenant side, how to screen tenants, how to get the right tenants. But from the owner, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a property manager that me and myself and Chris and anybody else here who's listening, who happens to be a landlord, who happens to be either dealing with property management or thinking about getting property management, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned as being the property manager yourself?
Like you said, definitely keeping the emotion piece out of it, because, and I would always blame corporate. Corporate says that I have to do it this way. Then, like you said, it diffuses the situation. They can't get mad at you because you have a job to do. They tend to understand you more because, again, it's not you making that call and that decision. So I think that's super helpful. I mean, the emotional piece of it, like you said, to be able to raise rents and not feel bad about a sob story. I tend to get very business-like. Mm-hmm. A lot of other people they feed into, oh, they can't pay rent because, it's Christmas and this and that. And yes, that is sad, but your kid's not having a home is way more sad. Mm-hmm. And I would frequently have those hard conversations when people would come in and have, you know, they were short on rent just a little bit, but yet their cell phones are on, their lights are on. And unfortunately, as you know, a property manager, your rent is my priority. So those other things, your cable, your cell phone, everything else, they aren't the priority. We are. You know,
Rent has to be number one priority. Rent, you know, that has to be the number one thing.
And as a property manager, especially dealing with multiple tenants, I'm assuming that within that time frame that you were with the 47-unit apartment complex, those tenants turned over a few times. So you dealt with at least 40, 50 different people, probably more throughout your career. Nonetheless, so I'm just using that one as an example. Yeah. You probably heard every fucking excuse that these people have to say. You're a lot more prepared to hear that somebody that just buys a property. So Chris comes into a bunch of money. Chris is a smart guy, so he's not gonna go blow it in fucking Vegas. He's gonna buy himself a cash flowing apartment complex. But he's debating on whether he should do property management or he should manage this stuff himself. Him or his uncle or his cousin or whoever the fuck he puts in place, they haven't heard all the bullshit. They haven't heard all the stories. You're a lot more quick with the rebuttals because you've already heard all this stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And in my first job, we actually had a building fire. So we lost like 4 units. The one guy had popped off his AC and it had sparked, so he threw water on it. Well, it just blew off the backside of the apartment, like literally the whole thing. Yeah, he was a tweaker, you know, it's just like, oh my God. And so that whole 4-plex, well, it was an 8-plex part of it was gone. I mean, we had to rehouse. It
was a 4-plex after he was done with it, right?
it was crazy. Definitely.
Nice. So we got Greg Cook who's saying, I got 99 reasons and the toilet ain't one of them. We got Josh Castro who's saying systems. He just picked up the E-Myth. Yes, guys. And if you guys want to read, in my opinion, the best book about systems, first of all, what is a system, why you should have a system, what happens when you don't have a system, and how to actually set up a fucking business system. The E-Myth is by far, in my opinion, the best one out there for there. We got Elizabeth Navarrete saying, great show, guys. We got Nadine here from South Carolina saying, hello. Oh, man, thanks for joining us here. We got Greg Cook says, yeah, he watched the show. He said, I smoked the whole thing. Fuck yeah, I did. I rolled the whole thing.
I know what I'm talking about.
I smoked that whole thing. We got Arcea Lee here clapping us. We got Daniel saying he's just joking. That's how I got my wife too. Exactly, guys. What I'm saying, we're just saying this is the benefit of hearing the AC Flip, guys. Is we're edutainment. You never know what the fuck you're gonna hear. Hey. Yes, you're learning about property management, but you just learn how to pick up on hot chicks. Thank you, DP.
And man, you can't you can't feel bad about that because girls are the worst stalkers of them all.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. It's just creepy when a guy stalks, but women are way far fucking stalkers, especially like with the online
they know what's
stuff,
going
bro.
on, yeah. I'm so glad I ain't in that game.
Man, oh man. Bro, yeah, so as a single man, I have to be careful what I post, how I post, who's seen in the picture or not.
Taco Juan had similar issues.
Yeah. We got Randy Matthews saying, what's up? We got Ramon Gonzalez saying, what's up, boys? Hey, Ramon. Pleasure to be able to help out. I'm going to be making that donation today. So I'm doing $1,000 donation to help out our boy Ramon, who's he's helping out some kids from sex trafficking, something along those lines. Ramon, if you're still with us, put the link on the show so if anybody else wants to donate. But basically, he said if anybody donates over $1,000, I'm throwing a mastermind. You come in all day. So I'm flying out next Tuesday, next Wednesday all day. I'm hanging out with me, him, and all of our mutual friends. High level mastermind group. So excited to be able to give back. So excited to be able to be in a position where I say, yes, it's all right. Let me just cut the check for that great cause. So big shout out to you. We got
a few more new people, and we got Felix. We got Melissa Lutman, and hey, Randy, you said you were going to be here. You're here. What's up, buddy?
What's up? We got Randy Matthews saying, what's up here, buddies? We got Sonia Ray saying, next show, dating tips from BP.
Those are on Wednesday, not on Friday.
Yeah, I should do a different show here. So guys, once again, we love your comments. We love you joining us. If you guys have any questions for us, if you have any questions for Ashley, please make sure that you let us know. And I'm sure what's going to happen, the same fucking thing that happens in every fucking show. They're going to wait till the very fucking end before they start asking the question. That's just the way it is.
So like BP said, we have two sides of the table. So what, as a owner, what you should be looking at with property management. And then later on, we're going to be, I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions on how to deal with tenants, how to screen tenants, all that kind of stuff. So bring your questions, everybody.
All right. So we talked about the benefit and what happens through the owner side of it. You've seen people, I'm assuming because of your industry, you've talked to people that had tried managing this stuff themselves. I'm sure you've seen that. But if I'm a new landlord, I just bought an apartment complex, and I am looking to vet a few different property managers. What is something that I should be aware of? What is something that I should be looking out for? What is some of the questions that I should be asking these potential property managers?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to know what types of fees that they're charging, because that's very important to your bottom line. Mm-hmm. Are they charging for, lease ups, and is that what you're needing is, to fill your units? How are evictions handled? How quickly do they get on top of those type of situations for, non-compliance of the lease, or also for rent? Are they giving them a little, flex time on that, or are they immediately acting on those type of things? You want to know how maintenance is handled, because that's obviously important to your asset. How do they inform you of those maintenance issues? Are they letting you know right away, which they should be, because those are, things you're going to want to stay on top of. Are they, make sure that they're billing those tenants for those damages, and you're not sucking all those costs up yourself. I'm a fan of inspections is really big, and I'm a fan of quarterly inspections, especially in a multifamily. I think that's essential. You go in and what you do is just change out smoke detector batteries if needed and test them to make sure they're still installed as well, and then change out AC filters. I think that's extremely important. You get eyes in the unit to know how's their housekeeping. Do they have extra people staying in that unit that shouldn't be there? You're able to just see the condition of the unit. Are they reporting maintenance issues timely? So you're able to send your maintenance guy in there the next day and say, look, you didn't report these things. I'm taking care of them. Here's the bill. So you make sure you get all those things taken care of. I think those are the main huge things that I think are important as far as from a property owner standpoint, because they hit your budget, hard if they're not, if you're not on top of those type of things.
Yeah, one of the biggest complaints people have about property managers, especially when they're out of state, is they just charge and overcharge, and hey, they make an agreement with the electricians, let's bill them this, bill them that. So you got to have somebody that you can trust. That's the key.
Yeah, yes, I do agree with that. I do agree that you have to know the process. And actually in the book, The E-Myth, and I totally forget the fucking saying, but it's delegation through abdication. I don't remember the fucking second word.
Abdication? What the hell is that?
So basically it means that people just put a property manager in place and never follow up and say, I'm going to trust that this person does everything that they're supposed to do without a system being in place.
Trust but verify.
And that doesn't work. Honestly, that doesn't work. If you just hiring a property manager just to hire a property manager, and you're not asking the questions, especially the ones that Ashley was talking about, because basically what Ashley was saying is what type of system do you have in place to verify all this shit that's going on in my apartment? What type of system do you have in place for collecting rent, for anybody who's late on rent? What type of system do you have for maintenance? What type of system do you have for inspections? What type of system do you have when people break the rules, when people don't do these? I need to know as the owner, what are you going to be doing as the property manager? But you want to make sure that they trust but verify. Just like Ashley said, you want to trust but verify. You want to see, you want to ask to see what they're doing, which is more important at first. If you come across a property manager and they don't really have a system in place, that should be a big red flag. unless you already have a system and you're just going to plug them into your system.
Definitely.
And which is something that we learned here, and we got from when we met you, Ashley. One of the other people on the table was Corey, and Corey actually put us onto Appfolio, and Appfolio has been an amazing tool for us. That it makes it a lot easier for us to plug in our property managers. Even with that being said, though, we still have to create procedures and processes for them to be able to do the things that we need them to do. So Ashley was suggesting that if you are buying a property and you're looking to hire a new property management company or a new property manager, your questions should be, hey, what type of systems do you have? How do you handle late payments? How do you handle collecting rent? How do you handle any type of maintenance requests? How do you handle general maintenance? How do you handle the inspections? How do you X, Y, Z, so you can see what it is that they're doing? Did I get that correct, Ashley?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Perfect. One of the things that we like to do here with the AZ Flip guys is, Ashley's been in property management for 7 years. Chris and myself have been in real estate for over 12 years. And one of the things that we notice is that sometimes we just tend to talk and just be like, oh man, people know what the fuck we're talking about. So we tend to break it down and make it easier to people to digest that didn't, may not have known what's going on. So we got a Daniel Taibi who says, there's a saying among trainers, coaches, and leaders: if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. Oof. That is so right.
That's generally true.
You won't take coach seriously unless you have to cough up your own money. And that is so true. And I tell this all the time to my mentoring students. I don't need your fucking money. I need your fucking attention. And if you're going to pay me for information, then you've just invested that. Your attention is going to be there, because I can give you the exact same information and you're not going to take it. And I think that's one of the things that we see here in the kingdom, is because people do have to pay to be in the kingdom. When knowledge is dropped, they tend to take it and take more action with it. So we got Johnny Sanchez who says, help me get a date BP. It's going to cost you a pretty penny there, brother.
Because you ain't pretty, I'm assuming.
We got Sonia Ray who says, we're all in sales. Yes, every single one of us in all aspects of our life, whether you want to admit it or not, you are always constantly selling yourself.
Now you see this one on Daniel. We got a real interesting question, because this is really performance based, right? As a property manager, it's your duty to perform. So Daniel says, I feel like a property manager should pay a penalty when my property's vacant. What do you guys think? Ashley, what do you think about that?
I haven't worked that way. Just the specific industry that I've been in, affordable housing, isn't structured that way, but I think that is a really good way to make sure your property manager is motivated to fill those vacancies. That way you guys aren't losing rent, because it costs every day.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? On that aspect, what do you think is the occupancy rate? You have a 40-unit apartment. As a property manager, how many of those units do you think you should have filled at every time?
They should be 100% occupied. Especially in California, there should be no reason why you don't have your units filled. Mm-hmm. But definitely sitting at like a 95%, you really shouldn't have vacancies. If you're doing it properly, once you receive that intent to vacate, you should be prospecting for people already, if you don't have like some sort of a little waiting list going on. And if you provide good service to your residents, word of mouth is really huge, and you should have people that want to rent at your property. It's well maintained, well managed, they're going to want to stay. We're in a customer service industry. If you treat people well, that shows.
Yes. And I got a response here for Daniel. Real quickly, we got Celie joining us in the watch party. Celie. She says, hey, Ashley. Hey, Celie. Thank you for joining us here. So Daniel, in my personal belief and my personal philosophy, you attract a lot more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So one of the things that I did, and we did actually with our property manager over in Hope, Arkansas, is that we incentivize him. So we said, hey, we've already got rid of all the riffraff. We already got rid of all the bullshit. We already got a few units ready to go. We need to get this shit going, and it hasn't been done. So here's what we're going to do for you is, if you fill up X amount of units we're gonna give you a bonus of whatever, $50 per unit or whatever the fuck it was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't too much, but we're gonna give you a bonus for every property that you fill up. And by the way, if you fill up X amount of properties within the next 30 days, we're gonna give you a $200 bonus on top of that. He was highly motivated to do that. Highly motivated to do that. Have you ever done it? Have you ever seen or experienced anything like that yourself, Ashley? Were you getting bonuses for filling properties?
Yes, yep. If you keep, one of the things at my current property is to get we were trying to get the expenses a lot lower, and would receive bonuses for that, and then keeping and raising the rents. And kind of getting those things up, and they would also give a bonus for that, and then just as well as the property's performing, we get a percentage. So that was a good way.
Perfect. And that's one of the things that you have to incentivize your folks. I know that with our apartment complexes, once we get these things filled up, because we're pretty much almost at the place where we need to be to refinance long-term for our Arkansas deal.
Over 85%. That's the key number.
Exactly. And once we reach past like 90, we're going to be giving bonuses to our property managers for keeping us in that range. So definitely you want to find a way to incentivize them. I believe in incentivizing except for penalty. However, though, you only give these motherfuckers one chance. You give it, hey man, you've been slacking, you haven't been doing it. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to incentivize you. You got X amount of time to show me what you got. They don't do anything by that. Next, get rid of them motherfuckers.
It's a crowded community, right? For you guys, Ashley? I mean, there's a lot of competition out there for property managers.
Yeah, in the industry there is. In affordable housing, because there's so many regulations and there's so much paperwork and so much stuff that you do have to know, it tends to thin out quite a bit on that end. Because there's a lot of audits and federal paperwork that I have to take care of. So the niche I'm in now, there isn't, and sometimes it's baffling to me because I don't find it that hard, but some people really have a hard time with that aspect of it. So,
and that is why you need to hire a property manager, guys. The shit that you hate to do, the shit that is gonna drive you fucking nuts, the shit that is gonna make you fucking turn this beautiful gem into a piece of shit fucking place. Other people like doing it. Yeah. Other people get off on doing it. Other people actually enjoy doing that shit. I say this all the time when it comes to hiring an assistant. All the shit that I hate to fucking do, our assistants love to fucking do, and they're way better at it than I would ever fucking be at it because I fucking hate doing it. You have to start delegating. And if you want to go and own more than one apartment complex, definitely have to start delegating. There's no way in hell that Chris and myself would have been able to own an apartment complex in Arkansas, an apartment complex in Southern Arizona, if we were out there trying to do this stuff ourselves. If we were out there trying to manage these properties ourselves, there's no way in hell that would happen. There's no way in hell that we would have all these other opportunities that we have for the other apartment complexes, plus the ones that we already have also here, if we were managing all of this stuff ourselves.
Which that would have severely limited our investing abilities, right? Because we're in Phoenix, Arizona. It's not a great time to buy rental properties. The cap rates are low, so if the specific strategy we wanted to implement, we have to be out there all across the nation. So
exactly,
getting that manager is key.
So we got Diego Hernandez here, says y'all are great, love this. We got Luis Fernando joining us all the way from fucking Ecuador. What's up, motherfucker? Hey, I tried to pick up your phone call when you hit me up on WhatsApp, but I'll hit you up later. He wants me to go visit him in his ranch over there in freaking Ecuador. We got Josh Warner here. Shout out to Ashley Hernandez. She's a beast. We got some questions over here for Ashley. So Sonia Ray saying, is it normal for property manager to keep the late fees on late rent? What? Fuck, what? Hell no. Hell no. What the fuck? Hell no. Ashley, what? Have you ever
heard of it? I've heard of it. What do you got, Ashley? Have you ever done that?
I've never heard of that shit.
I've never done that before, but I have. I've never heard of that. I guess because you shouldn't keep that late fee because then they're gonna consistently hope that people are late. They're gonna be like, pay on the 5th or pay on the 6th.
That's gonna incentivize your property manager to not collect early, so then they can
Yeah.
make a little bit of extra money. Like that's not the point of a late fee. The late fee is to incentivize your fucking tenant to pay you before that late fee hits.
Yes.
And one of the things that
Right.
we're doing here with our system is that all of our tenants get a text message reminding them. So after the 5th, the rent's due on the 1st, rent's late on the 2nd. However, we give them a 4-day grace period all the way up to the 5th. If they don't pay rent on the 5th, on the 6th, they now owe late fees starting on the 2nd.
Mhm.
We send them a text message reminding them on the 5th, hey guys, if you want to avoid late fees, make sure that you pay by midnight tonight. So yeah, Sonia, that is not normal. I have never heard of it, and Ashley had never heard of it, and that sounds fucking crazy as fuck. If my property manager even suggested that shit, I would fly over to fucking that state and backhand the fuck out of it just for even thinking about that shit.
Now, BP went over our system. Ashley, tell us. So, are you guys very strict? I want to get into your government assisted. Find out a little bit more about that. But are you guys real strict? Because on the 6th, we need to have that eviction notice on the door every single time, no matter what their story is. What do you do?
Yeah, yep, exactly. Same thing. We put out here in California, it starts with a 3-day pay or quit. They do have the option, and we can accept rent during that 3-day period. If we do accept even a partial, we have to restart the process over. So I always tell people accept it all. You can't evict for late fees. So it's essential to have in your lease how things are applied. So it applies to the late fees, any maintenance charges, anything that's outstanding first, and rent is last. So that if you need to evict, you are evicting for rent only. Because people,
that was a good nugget. Okay, so if
Say that one more time.
Yeah, if I understood you correctly, you said you got a tenant who. So Chris here, I always use Chris as an example for good or bad. So this time is going to be bad. Chris is a piece of crap dude who didn't pay his fucking rent now, and we are now having to evict them. He comes by and says, hey man, I don't have the rent, but I got like $200. I can pay this, whatever. You are saying if we collect it as the landlord, to collect it and put that towards late fees and other type of fees that they may have as opposed to the rent, because you could only evict somebody because of the rent. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly.
So regardless of how outstanding their late fees are and how much late fees they have, you can now evict them for that. You can only evict them for them not being able to pay the rent.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's a huge gold nugget. We got Melissa Lutman at the watch party saying that's a gold nugget. That is amazing. So I was curious because normally in my I was told that if you collect anything for that month, even if it's partial payment, that you're no longer able to evict them. What's been your experience with that, Ashley?
Yeah, so in affordable housing, again, same process. You can accept partial payments, but you have to start the eviction process over. So let's say you accepted it on the 10th day. Now you need to restart, serve your 3-day for the remaining portion of the rent, and start over again. So the time clock restarts itself. So you lose more days. You lose a lot by doing that process. So I get from an owner standpoint, something's better than nothing, because once you get into the eviction and the attorney's fees and the term,
you ain't gonna get shit from them once they know they're getting evicted. Even if they did have some money put in. However, I do really like your tip of whatever you take, apply it to the late fees and whatever other fees there may be to the property before you apply it to the rent, because that way you could still evict them if you choose to evict them here. So we got Mark Holder who's saying, do PMs usually charge 1 month's rent to fill a vacant apartment? So is that standard in the property management industry to charge 1 month's rent to fill a vacant apartment?
I have heard of that, or they just keep a portion of it. Usually it's like 75% of it is what people charge. I haven't done that in my career so far personally, but I know that management companies will do lease up fees. And depending if that's only what you want out of them is to lease it up and move on, then sometimes that's something they'll do. Sometimes they just want to gain the business. So they're like, no, we'll lease it up for you. It's kind of part of our, our business relationship and then they have their contract with you for whatever length of time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that at all, honestly, because if I'm paying you to be my property management and I'm already paying you for that shit, part of that is for you to fucking fill up my goddamn apartment complex. Like,
Right.
there's no way in fucking hell that I'm gonna fucking pay your ass 1 month's rent. Like, go fuck yourself. However, I do know, like, so Chris, you have your real estate license. When you first started, you were mainly focusing on rentals, right?
Right.
That's kind of how you got paid. It was 1 month of the rental, right?
Yeah, that's how I definitely broke into the business. It was a crazy market, so I would just do a flat fee, $400, $500, $600 just to bring in a renter, and then they manage it themselves. But again, I should have been passing them on to a property manager, because that's why they didn't go out and buy more properties, because they're off doing that shit by themselves.
So we got so anyway, Mark, that's that is common in some areas. Personally, I would not agree to that, but to each their own, and it may be beneficial for you in that area. You may get like a Section 8 tenant, which once you get a Section 8 tenant in there, and Ashley, you said you did affordable housing, these motherfuckers don't leave. Like they don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
So that might be beneficial for you to put out and pay 1 month's rent for that. But for the most part, as I said, I'm already paying you a salary or a percentage or whatever. I feel that comes included, and this is why you should have that conversation initially with your property managers. Not only, hey, what are your processes and procedures that you have in place for this shit, but how are you going to charge me? Like, how is this gonna look? I don't want to just assume, hey, Chris is a nice guy, I'm gonna hire this motherfucker, and then, oh shit, you don't have a way to evict people, you don't have this, and that. Oh, and you're charging me extra, and you're gonna charge me $500 so you can evict somebody, motherfuckers? Isn't that part of your job?
Exactly.
You want to have these conversations beforehand.
Hey, we got some people here on Instagram chiming in. Elijah Rubin says, don't collect any part of that rent. Hit that eviction notice and get them out of there. I agree, man.
Nice. And well, I actually did say that if you take any part of it, then your clock restarts.
Right.
So if you are going to take part of it, make sure that it goes towards the fees and shit, as opposed to the actual rent. Nonetheless, though, it does delay the process, and you can't, you have to do it all over again.
So we got another question from Elijah asking Ashley if you use bandit signs for your property rental. So why don't we talk about marketing real quick? What do you guys do to get people in the doors?
So I don't own my own property management company. That is my goal. That is where I'm headed. I have to work out a few things in the meantime to do that, but I think that would be a great way. Networking, though, is huge, because there are a lot of investors who have properties that they've got, unexpectedly have to hold, and they need to rent out, and so that's a good way to get started. And like you said, just knowing certain people is one good way to really, do things. But definitely, you can start mass marketing. I haven't ever seen bandit signs for property management, but I mean, it could be just a try.
Well, and I mean, I have a lot of experience with bandit signs. Many years. I actually ran a bandit sign company, and I will tell you that bandit signs, it depends on the market. It really all depends on the market. Some markets are way better for bandit signs. They're just a lot more effective. Very competitive markets, they tend to not be as effective. Nonetheless, though, they're a great way to catch attention for a very cheap price. We got Frankie Morales here saying, hey, my wife and I picked up a duplex. However, the property management signed an updated lease until October 2019 instead of leaving them month to month. What type of system is there, or what type of system can we put to remove them to fix and update the apartments? So what I believe he's trying to ask is, he bought a duplex. The property managers re-signed the lease. Obviously, he wasn't intending to re-sign a lease. He wanted to have them month to month. What can he do to prevent that? And B, what can he do to get rid of those people so he can fix the unit? So why don't you answer that, Ashley?
As far as if they had some sort of agreement before he purchased it, that should have been tied up before. It shouldn't have been having them re-signing. I would assume that'd be something you'd have to talk to an attorney about. I wouldn't know anything on that end. As far as evicting them, you'd probably better off either giving them cash for keys, or trying to rehouse them. Maybe you could move them to one side of the duplex, you know, if that's a possibility, fix that kind of stuff, you know. And sometimes if you just tell people, hey, I want to make this a better place for you to live, if that's your goal, if it's to charge more rent and get a better renter in there, they're probably not going to love that. Here in California, we're very tenant friendly, so you can't just go booting people. You have to have cause. So sometimes you may just have to ride that out, unfortunately. And
that was going to be my suggestion, actually, dude. Just bite the fucking bullet. I don't know when your property manager signed this lease. If they signed it after you bought the property, fire their motherfucking asses right now, because they shouldn't be doing shit without your fucking specific permission. Specifically signing fucking leases like that. That is like, that's, oh, hey, I hired a fucking painter to do this. That's one thing. Sign a fucking lease. Go fuck yourself. Seriously. If they did it after, now, if this was something that was done beforehand, then you should have fucking done better research and known what was going to happen. Past that, though, the lease has already been signed. The tenants are already there. There's nothing you can do outside of just giving them money or trying to work with them. If they're not willing to work with you, there's really not much we can do. So I would suggest you bite the bullet, unless you have the availability, as Ashley was saying, hey, man, can I put you on this side of the building to rehab it? But if you are planning on rehabbing the property to be up the rent, then they're probably not going to be all that friendly. So just write out the lease, let them know now, hey, I'm not renewing the lease at the end of it. I'm taking this down for renovation. I'm giving you guys 6 months anticipation, so you know you can start looking for a property. And I've done that. I actually recently bought a fourplex, and a few leases were signed, a few of them were month to month. I went up to the tenants and I said, hey, here's my plan. I'm looking to up the rent to this. I'm looking to do this. I'm looking to do that. If you guys want to stay, great. If not, that's fine too. But the ones that did have their lease in place, you have to write out the lease until it's done. So we got Martine Jackson joining us here. She says fire, fire, fire. We got Sonia over here talking to Johnny. She says she'll be your wingman. Chicks are best at it anyway. I do agree with that, Johnny. One of the easiest ways to attract good-looking women is to have other good-looking women around you, even if you're not dating them. Yeah, even if you're not, like, even if people can just tell your friends, because here's what happens is that a good-looking woman guys are fucking idiots. Guys are fucking dipshits. And they're just thinking with their goddamn dicks, and they just go and they just say stupid shit. They say stupid shit. Ashley, I'm sure you hear stupid shit all the fucking time. Like, guys just say stupid shit. So if a good-looking woman sees you another good-looking woman hanging out with you, she at least knows that, hey, this guy is probably not saying stupid shit, because that other good-looking woman probably wouldn't be hanging out with him. Even if it's just friends, even if you can tell that that's just your friend, they know, and that automatically kind of eases them. Plus, when you have a good-looking woman on your side, you can freaking say, hey, go talk to this person for me. And it eases the conversation, because now they're girlfriends. And, hey, let me introduce you to my buddy over here, as opposed to you, hey, how's it going? What's your sign? You want me to buy you a drink?
What's your sign?
Oh, man, we got Greg Cook saying network.
Yes, great.
We got Martine Jackson saying, anyone want to share a property manager, contractor template? So let me ask you about that, Ashley. As a property manager, do you have a contractor template? Something that you use for all your different subs that you're going to have? Something that potentially a landlord could say, hey, property manager, we want to use this template. Do you have something like that, or did you ever use something like that?
You know, we didn't have any templates, you know, or anything set up. We were mainly concerned, you know, with their insurance proof. W-9s is something we required from them as well. So we just had those type of things. We live in such a small area. You kind of have vendors that are only used for, you know, it's kind of an industry known thing as to who to use and things like that. So I haven't had to come across that personally so far.
Okay. And I would say that personally, I don't use any type of contractor template or anything like that. What I do in our end is we have a very firm and understanding agreement with the property manager. this is what we're looking to accomplish. However, I want to treat my property manager like a fucking adult unless that motherfucker shows me differently. So I'm going to be like, look, man, you know the area better. You know the scenario better. I could go on Craigslist. I could go on fucking Facebook. I can go on Google and just find a fucking random person and hire them. But you live there locally. You know the reputation of these people. I am going to expect you to make sure that this motherfucker does what they're supposed to be doing. That's it. If they give you a bid, check it out, make sure it makes sense. Double check with the different contractor around that you also like that we could use for this scenario. Other than that, you're responsible for them doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if they're not, you let me know and I'll put my foot in their ass.
And you got to know, your basic numbers too. You know, if they throw a number at you that you know is just insane, you know, you got to be able to nip that shit right away.
And that's where your contractors is. Your property managers are basically contractor babysitters. They're going to be there. If the contractor says, hey man, you know, I'm going to have to pull the plumbing. Well, guess what? My property manager is going to be there when you're pulling the plumbing to see. If you're telling me that this, and that, and you need to replace this shit, well, guess what? You need to show my property manager. He is going to sign off on it. In this particular case, he or her has the authority to sign off on that. So I don't have any type of contract or any type of template in place, Martine. But if anybody here within the audience does, make sure that you put it on here. Make sure that you put it on the comments if you guys are watching us or hearing us on a podcast. Which reminds me, if you guys are watching us here and you want to hear this episode again, go download it on iTunes. Flipping Fridays, you guys can find us on there. Flipping Fridays. We have all of our episodes there, at least the majority of them, and we have literally covered every single topic. Do us a favor, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you give us a 5-star review, and make sure that you download a few episodes. And I guarantee you guys, this shit only gets better the more you hear it, because you missed something. You were too busy laughing at one part. You were too busy jotting down notes about something. You missed something that was said, and you're going to hear back and go, oh my God, that really, really hits home. And we have talked about pretty much every fucking subject that has to do with real estate, from getting started to bandit signs, to wholesaling, to fixing and flipping, to multifamily, to lending, to private money, to how to raise it. Shit, we even broke down whiteboards of our last 2 multifamily deals and showed you step by step how we were buying it, what price we were buying it from, how much money we were raising, how much money we were making, how much money our investors were going to be. I mean, we've broken down every fucking aspect of it. So you guys can definitely go download those episodes, give us a 5-star review, leave some comments on there. And if you guys are hearing us on a replay, if you guys are hearing us on a podcast and you have any questions that weren't answered within the show, make sure that you leave some questions or comments there.
Yeah, no matter where you're watching, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, no matter what, we always go back and we go over the comments again. So,
yep. So we got Melissa saying she had a friend pay $20,000 to get a tenant out of somewhere in Los Angeles.
Oh, our guy Chris Mena was telling it. He sells real estate in the Bay Area. They offered a tenant $200,000 to leave because it was in such a hot area, and they said no because they knew the value of that. California has horrible laws. You're in California. So when we're looking at buying, the laws are a really, really big aspect. You know, that's one thing that we always want to look at. That's why we avoid California. We avoid Illinois.
Fuck yeah.
So what are some of the legal things that have limited you as a property manager?
So like when you, the eviction process, it doesn't take extremely long, but every day counts, you know, so those things kind of can hold you up. When somebody moves out, if they have belongings, that could be garage sale valued over, I believe it's $500 or $700 now. I think they changed it. That you have to hold on to them or store them at a reasonable place, which it could be a storage facility, for 21 days.
Like I got to pay to store your shit because you didn't pay rent.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
This is why we don't go to California. You know what? We had somebody move out on fucking that didn't pay their rent. We kicked them out over in Arkansas. They left a bunch of shit. You know what I told my property manager? Do me a favor, break that fucking shit and throw it in the goddamn dumpster. Fuck these motherfuckers. And by the way, if there's anything good, then put it on the fucking corner and say free. Just get it the fuck out of my fucking property. But once again, you can't do that. You can't do that in California.
Yeah. What were you
When
gonna
we were
say?
in Texas, when they told me there that, you know, you can bag people's stuff up. I mean, the constable will come there and help you just throw it on the street. I literally almost had a heart attack. I'm like, if you did that in California, you'd be hunted dry, because that one person would come back and say, my grandma's heirloom from, you know, whatever was worth $10 million and now you need to replace it. And you're like standing there with your pants down like
And guys, this is why it's beneficial to have a property manager.
Mhm.
So let's say that this property that that Ashley was managing back then, let's say that this property came up for sale and I snagged it up on a fucking amazing deal. Now, I'm the type of person that's like, fuck that motherfucker, go break his shit, throw it in the goddamn dumpster, fuck that motherfucker, right? If I didn't know what I was doing and I was self-managing this thing and I just hired some guys to go there, throw that fucking dumpster, I could be hit with a huge lawsuit or a whole fucking pain in the ass bullshit that I didn't have to deal with because I wasn't aware of the laws in that local area. So you want to make sure that you're constantly always thinking about the property managers and the benefit of having a property manager. And that's another one of them. We got Danny over here saying, thanks for the feedback on property managers. I guess incentives do work better than punishment.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a couple on Instagram as well. A Rain says a couple questions that already asked. I just want to tell you, go back, start it over. We talked the questions that you're asking. They want to know, what are you looking for in a property manager? You know, what are the main things? So we did discuss that at the beginning.
Just to answer, just to reiterate, because I think it's very important to reiterate. What are you looking for in a property manager? You're looking for somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
How do you verify that they know what the fuck they're talking about? You ask them, like Ashley was saying, ask them the questions. What type of systems do you have? How do you charge rent? How do you evict people? What do you do about late payments? How do you handle your contractors and everything else? All these other things that we have talked about. And I do agree with Chris. Go back earlier because I don't remember every single question that Ashley said, but every single question that she said is something that you should be asking them.
Right.
In the overall general is basically what type of systems do you have in place? And then the other thing that I said was find out how they're going to get paid, what they're going to charge you, so there's no surprises in the future. We got
one other critical thing I think is important is to make sure that they're up on fair housing training.
Yes.
It's extremely important. You say the wrong things just completely innocently, and people shop around for those specific instances, and tenants are aware of these things, some, not all, but they try to entrap you into saying and doing certain things that leaves the owner liable, leaves the property manager liable as well. So that's something you really want to, make sure.
Put the baby up to the fucking camera, because we've been hearing this motherfucker for the last half an hour. Put the baby up to the camera so we can see it.
Yeah, she's not quiet. Come here.
It's all good.
What
My
is up,
my
girlie?
little baby boy is sleeping right now. So we got Sonia said that she had that happen to her where they kept the late fees. Shit, I would have fired their
Not
ass.
anymore.
Like no chances given. We got Colleen who says, so knowledgeable. Thanks for all the great information. We
Thanks
got
for
Luis
tuning
Fernando
in.
who says, yo, tremendo knowledge, man. I appreciate it, brother. We got Jordan here who says a lot of stuff to note down with this episode. Man, we got freaking Mr. Morales. Wow, great knowledge, information, great to know. Woo, wait, guys, I am telling
Loving
you,
Ashley
I've
here.
been telling you that we've been dropping straight fucking fire, man. We have been getting a lot better with our interviews. We've been getting a lot better with our guests, and we've just been able to add a whole lot of value to everybody out there. So we got Andy who's saying, Veracruz saying, hello, everybody. We got Mr. Morales says this happened during closing period. Ashley, thank you. Oh, man, that sucks. However, if that happened during closing period, fire that property manager right now. The fact that they didn't respect your ass to let you know what the fuck was going on and they did it behind your back, that is such a sign of disrespect. And that only goes to show you what they're going to be doing in the future with other shit. Because if they didn't think getting a hold of you because of a lease was important, fuck. I don't know what else is more important in a fucking rental than getting that shit rented out.
Yeah, they're going to be spending your money.
Oh, man.
How would they not have known if you wanted a rent increase? I mean, they have no idea what you would have wanted to do with that property at that point. So huge risky move that they did. I mean,
And it
not
sounds
good.
like they may have wanted to move in. which that'll really screw up your plans.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. So we
Especially,
got Martine Jackson here. She says she meant a property manager contract between the owner and property manager. Oh yes, we got that. We got the state of Arizona one. You can actually get one from your state. Ashley, do you happen to have a just general property management contract that you've used before?
No, I haven't done any of that on my side.
Okay, so what I have, Martine, is we use the state of Arizona one. I sent that out to my property manager. It's an imperative that you have it, especially if you own property that's outside of your state. And here's the reason why. Last time, these motherfuckers made me drive 4 hours, 4 hours one way and 4 hours back because they needed a wet signature. Because I couldn't fucking fax it, because I couldn't fucking scan it, because there was no other fucking way that it needed my physical signature, and they would not release, it was for Section 8, they would not release the check unless this thing was signed. I was like, how the fuck do I avoid having to drive 8 hours for this horse shit property management agreement?
And that government, when they say the rules, those are the rules, right? So you're saying you're working in a government-assisted apartment. What kind of tenants do you have? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the current property that I'm at is fully tax credits. So that just has a portion of subsidized rents are a lot lower than the local. Then the investors receive tax credits so for the depreciation of all of that, carrying that asset. I have worked in a fully Section 8 property. The whole property had Section 8 vouchers tied to every unit. That was a whole nother animal. I thought at that point I was running 138 units, and I went down to, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do 55. So I thought like, I'm just decreasing my workload. I wanted to focus more on my real estate side of things. Holy crap, I did 10 times the work managing Section 8 properties. Not because I don't like to scare people away. If you have a strong property manager and you vet Section 8 tenants well, you can have a really good cash flowing asset, and you can really have a really successful model. However, if you're not on top of it and your management is not strong, you will be dealing with the biggest headache of Section 8 properties. Like for instance, when I first started at that property, it was a mess. I mean, it was just a nightmare. There was so much in delinquent rents. So I made sure to bring those all up. We booted people that, owed $2,000 in rent, which was insane to me. I was like, how are you even living here? And then in my first couple weeks, long story short, I had, I was trying to keep people out of these fire lanes. The way the property was set up, there's like a little horseshoe. And so people would constantly park right there. And we did frequently have ambulances and fire trucks that would come through, and they'd have to drive on my lawn, which really annoyed me because it made a big mess. So anyways, I came outside and I see somebody in a uniform running towards me, and then I can read on the front, it says probation. They're like, I need the property manager. I need the property manager. I'm like, I'm right here. And what they needed to do was have me pop open a tenant's door before they kicked it in. And I'm like, hold on, don't kick in my door. I will open it for you. I head back towards that building, and legit, there was 12 officers surrounding it, all guns drawn. Here's little me. I'm 120 pounds, 5 feet. I'm like, oh my God. They had FBI, they had local PD, they had probation, all surrounding this building, and they're yelling at the tenants to get in their units. And I'm like, oh my God, here's the key. I'm not going to that door.
Well, and you said something that most people don't fucking know, which is if you offer Section 8 housing, you don't have to take just anybody.
Right.
You can actually vet your Section 8 tenants the same way that you would do any other tenant. Just because they have the voucher does not mean they're a good tenant. That means that you're guaranteed to get paid. That doesn't mean that you're a good tenant. And as Ashley will attest to, Section 8 doesn't always cover all the rent.
Right.
So sometimes there's people that still owe money.
Yep.
And if you don't have a property management system in place, then you're going to be running into issues with a lot of these tenants. And it's not the Section 8 themselves. Because the exact same thing could have happened if this was a regular apartment complex and it had the same type of just nonchalant property management that didn't cover. I mean, the fact that somebody owed $2,000 in rent, that was just one person. I mean, can you imagine how much money was owed to that property just because of how long it took. Now, Ashley, I did want to get to this from our end. So as the landlord, as the person owning the building, or as anybody owning any type of rentals, one of the things that we have to deal with is vetting and getting the right tenant in place. Being that you're a property manager, being that you had spent so many years being a property manager, being that you had spent so much time working in different properties, and basically having to vet all these different people. I'm assuming that when you took over that apartment complex that you mentioned, that Section 8, you had to get rid of a whole bunch of fucking losers, and then after that you had to vet and get in the correct people into that. What are some of the things that you have learned through your years of experience on how to vet tenants, how to get the right tenants in for your apartments?
I think first thing I'd like to always note as well is to make sure you have a selection criteria. Again, Fair Housing will look into these type of things. So you want to make sure that you know the criteria with your property owner and management. It's very clear. It needs to be written out so that you can give it to any applicant, anybody who intends to apply, thinking about applying. They need to be able to see this clearly. Because if there's a fair housing discrimination case with your application process, they will interview your tenants. They will interview the previous applicants. They will look at those things. That's something you want to set up right away. You obviously want to look at Section 8. It's a little different because of the fact that they screen their income piece of it. But you do want to look at the history of their rental history. You want to look at that bigger picture. Some landlords will definitely lie. They want to get rid of their headache too. So they're going to just tell you whatever to get rid of it. But you're going to want to look, how long did they stay at that previous property? Are they jumping around a lot? That's a good picture for you to look at. And people want to always know, well, if my credit score is this, will I get in? Well, it's not the credit score always that we're looking at. We're looking at evictions. We're looking at, debt to income ratio. I want to know, if you're needing to pay hundreds of dollars in rent, but you have, you're only on cash aid or some sort of assistance. Well, how are you going to pay your rent? So I'm looking at, what are your other bills? It's car notes that I'm seeing when I pull your credit report. I also look in the credit report. We have something where you can see if they've bailed people out. Or have gotten bailed out. So that's something we can see on the credit report. And if you're going to be bringing the people you're bailing out to my property, starts to become you.
There you go. There you go. And guys, these are the little tips and tricks that you learn from being in the business for many, many years. And we've adopted a lot of those. We don't really care too much about the credit score per se. We're more interested in their background. So we don't take any violent criminals, anything like that. I think we give them, if it's past 10 years, then we give people a pass. Any sex offenders, child molesters, that's an absolute no-no in our place. When it comes to credit stuff, credit score, as I said, is not as important as what type of shit do you have going on. And specifically, if you have any type of collections with another apartment complex or any type of your rental history that's showing that they're in collections, that's a big, big red flag for us. And then obviously debt to income ratio, making sure that they're able to pay, because you might take in Mrs. Jones and she makes, I don't know, your rent is fucking, you're in California, so it's $1,000 for a 1-bedroom or some shit, right? And she only makes $1,200 a month from her Social Security. How the fuck is she going to survive? How the fuck? Now, if she, if those apartments cover all utilities and she's also on food stamps, maybe, that's kind of up to your discretion. But this is what Ashley said. You have to look at the bigger picture. You have to take a look at this whole thing as wide angle, and not just she's a really nice lady, like, I'll just let her come in. No, because now you're talking about potentially having to turn the property in a few months, having to evict somebody, having to evict a sweet old fucking lady because you shouldn't have let her ass move in the first place. That's going to be bad for her. That's going to be bad for you. That's going to cost you time and money. And that's just something that you don't want to do in this business. So we got, let me see. We got Josh Castro, who said, my wife used to put an ad on Craigslist stating accepting new families on our waiting list. come join our community or something like that, and people used to flock to it. Weird how everybody wanted to be on a waiting list. that is that. Now, what was your experience with that, Ashley? Have you ever dealt with having people? So he said basically that his wife used to put out ads saying, "Hey, we're going to put you on our waiting list if you want to come in." And he said that they would get a lot of people that would apply for that and to be on a waiting list. What have been your experiences in basically pre-screening, pre-tenant, or just kind of getting them lined up, kind of putting them in the queue, potentially getting there because somebody may move out, or a few people's leases are coming due, and some people may or may not renew their lease. So you kind of start preparing that. How has been your experience in how you find those people, and what's been your experience with that in general?
Yeah, I've definitely used Craigslist. That's a really great place. You can also use there's section8.com. That's a good place if you're vetting for those Section 8 contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, any of the apartment rentals, apartments.com, hot pads, those type of places are good places to do that as well. Facebook also has that. It's called Zumper. So there's places you can put out rentals there. So yeah, and I definitely recommend the minute you get any type of intent to vacate, you're screening right away. And I recommend screening more than one person because, people fall through.
Mm-hmm.
You can let them know, hey, the faster you turn this stuff into me, the faster I can get you approved. Give a little bit of incentive to get that done. When you have approval, hey, we'll give you, $50 off your security deposit if you do this and finish it up by this time. So, that's a good way to get people that are serious and really, keep the process moving, because you don't want any vacancy, time lapse if you can help it.
Yeah, the quicker you can make it, the easier it is. And actually, speaking of babies, I just heard my baby fucking cry over there. You want to read the rest of these things? Let me go get my little man.
Hell yeah, where we at?
The guy of rent control.
All right, so Mr. Morales says we have rentals in Los Angeles, California that has rent control, and it sucks. However, there is a way to fight to get them out. How do you deal with that rent control?
So we don't have rent control yet, thank God. I feel like it's really looming up here because it's crazy for rent. We're right near where we live now. I don't know if you heard about the campfires that happened here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we literally border that. I mean, we were so close. Where we live currently, we did get evacuated. It was only temporary, but we were very close to that. So right now there's been, price gouging and all of that for the rentals. So I think that is going to come into play pretty quick here because we're really high. I mean, for a 3-bedroom house right now, you're looking in like the mid twos to low twos. So 2,000, to mid twos for rent. So it's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. And I know in Oregon recently went with rent control. They're going to be able to do that. So I guess you need to do your own due diligence.
Don't know what rent control is. Why don't you explain that to them in the easiest way you can?
Yeah, I mean, it's just where they're putting, you can't do so much of an increase per year. There's only an allotted amount of increase that you're able to do. So that really limits property owners, because that was a way that they were able to get people out, like, oh, well, I'm doing, $3,000 increase, you got to go. Well, they can no longer do that. So it really puts, a constraint on that. On top of the fact that it's your asset that you own, you should be able to charge what you want, which really sucks.
No, and I agree with that. And I just wanted to put it out there just in case anybody didn't know what rent control was. Anybody's out there looking to buy a property outside of their market, and whatever market they're looking to buy has rent control. You need to know what you're getting into. You need to know. And that's another reason why you need to hire a local property manager. They need to know what is going on in that area. Guys, if you guys are watching us live on our show, and actually this is the reason why you guys should be joining us live every single Friday at noon, Arizona time, AZ Flip, guys. You never know who's going to show up. And look who I got. I got King Leon over here, my little 11-month-old son with his little freaking, look at his little fucking afro, little curls and shit.
That's what grumpy Leon looks like.
That is what grumpy, because he just woke up, man. That's how it is. Like, my kid is the happiest freaking kid ever. He's always laughing and smiling. The only time that he's not smiling is when he's really, really tired, or right now where he just woke up. Other than that, he's normally. So we got John Castro saying cute. Appreciate that. Sonia said CYA, cover your ass. Cover your ass, baby. And definitely you want to make sure you cover your ass. One thing that I did learn, I mean, when I bought my first multifamily, it came with the property manager already attached to the property. They were, he was friends with the previous seller. It was great and everything. I never really had a need. We had a very verbal understanding, but as Sonia said, cover your ass. So to be able to cover my ass, I put the property management agreement in place, and it also turned out to be beneficial because he can sign off on a lot of these little things that he already knew. He already had my permission to do. I didn't particularly need to go over there. And imagine had this been fucking Arkansas, bro. Like, imagine if we had to fucking fly to Arkansas just to sign a piece of paperwork. Like, I would have fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Sonia Ray over here who's saying he's such a cutie. And he's super happy baby and a flirt too. Oh my God, he is such a big flirt. Holy shit, this kid. Oh my God, if he would see you, he would like be walking over there to you. He is such a little fucking flirt over here.
A good looking woman is a good wingman, but he's a way bigger wingman.
A baby is a way better wingman. A way better wingman.
That's a shoe-in.
All right, guys. So we are past an hour and a half, man. This has been an amazing, amazing show, Ashley. We appreciate, dude. I can't believe. So here I'm about to go on a fucking one of my BP rants here real quickly. So we had Ashley. We met her ass, right, and we got her, and she said, "Hey man, I would like to be on the show." I said, "Well, by all means, we would love to have you on the show. You seem like an amazing person. Definitely, let's get you on the show." Literally, fucking a week before the show, she's like, "I don't know what I'm gonna talk about." I'm like, "What the fuck? You don't mean you don't know what the fuck you're gonna talk about?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I've done a wholesale deal or so, and blah blah blah." So I'm like, we'll figure something out. We'll talk about, being a mom or being whatever in the business. We'll figure something to talk about. Literally fucking 2 days later, I see her posting something about her many years experience in property management. And I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck do you not know what we're going to be fucking talking about? And we just spent an hour and a half talking about property management. So Ashley, is there anything that we should have asked you that we didn't ask you?
No. I think we covered a lot of the good important pieces of it for sure.
Perfect. So anything that you want to say, anywhere that people can get a hold of you, anything that you want to let the people know before we let you go?
I'm on Facebook. It's just Ashley Hernandez. My other Facebook page is Local Mom Buys Houses, so you can contact me either way.
That's your Instagram handle, because I tagged you earlier, right?
Yes. Yep. My Instagram, and then I have a Facebook page with that as well. So either way.
What was that again?
Local Mom Buys Houses.
Perfect. Yeah, so guys, make sure you connect with her. Make sure you connect with her on Facebook, Ashley Hernandez. We tagged her on our post. Make sure that you guys follow her on Instagram. She's always putting out good content, good messages out there. Plus, you can be able to see a little bit more about her family life. And if you guys are not following me on Instagram, make sure that you do @CashflowCreator, especially if you like this little cutie pie over here, man. I've been posting the shit out of him on my Instagram page everywhere that we go. Ain't that right, baby? And then make sure you follow Cashflow Chris with a K. So Cashflow Chris with a K. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Ashley, it has been a total fucking pleasure, a total fucking honor to have you here. You've dropped a shit ton of information. This had a lot of stuff. Hell, you've dropped so much information that fucking Chris was literally taking notes during our show. Chris was taking notes during our show because of how awesome the information was. So anyway, we want to thank you. We want to thank the audience. Guys, if you guys got value out of this, make sure that you share this. Make sure that you tag your friends. Make sure that you share this to whatever groups you're involved with on Facebook. Make sure that you share this to your friends on Facebook, to their page. Share the link for our podcast. If you guys find this information valuable, if you guys are hearing us on a podcast, make sure you download it and you share this with your friends and family. Because as you've been able to tell, we don't sell anything, we don't pitch anything, we just give out valuable information. So anyway, guys, this has been Flipping Fridays. That is Ashley Hernandez over there. This is Cash Flow Chris. I am Cash Flow Creator, reminding you to flip for cash, but more and more importantly, make sure you hold for wealth.
For wealth, Leon.
Say bye, Leon.
Remember that.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks,
Check it out.
Ashley.
Look.
Talk
Bye.
to you
Thank
later.
you guys.
All good days. Oh, let me see. You can't see that. All good days.
It's all good, man.
Um,